Thanks, Chris. You know, one of the best ways you can follow Laura's advice is go to China. When you go to China, everything is disconnected for you, so it's a perfect. Of course, when you come back, it's a shit fest because it's just, you know, red banners everywhere. Anyway, it's wonderful to speak right after Laura, because what I want to talk to you about is hopefully some of the ways that you can ingest and follow some of the ideas that Laura is talking about. I want you to quickly take a look at this video and tell me, who are you? Anyone identify themselves with anything in this film? Who do you identify with? The gazelle. Oh, darn. Anyone identify with anyone else? The lion. I mean, I know when I saw the tree. When I saw this film first, the lion. I'm born in August. Oh, there I am. Then I realized the shit hit the fan. This is also the kind of situation we're living in, where you go out to have lunch with your loved one or a little daughter, and you end up, you know, with 3 phones, and you're looking at the devices rather than paying attention in real time to the person in front of you. Of course, it's only men doing it here. To women, I don't know why that is. What about this? You know, how many of you guys have this? Right? Or if you don't have it, your boss has it. And that's shit too. We need to get over it. So what I want to talk to you about is ESP, the 3 most untapped levers of productivity in your business. And really, the fact is that these are not just good for you. These are good for business. So the first is an E. It's something that we're lacking, that leaders need, and that is absolutely central to a thing called customer centricity if you're trying to do it. Anyone have any ideas what the E stands for? Empathy. I heard it from you first, so you get the prize. my last book. Yeah, so the thing is empathy. So if you are trying to, you think the customer is important, if you'd like your employees to be more engaged, if you're contemplating and implementing any AI, if you want to improve your innovation pipeline, if you want anything, anyone recognize any of themselves in this? All right, put your hands up if you do. All right, if you don't, I want to catch you with the rest, because basically it has a role in so many parts of our business, and yet we're not doing it. Let's just talk about what is empathy, because people do get it wrong. Basically, the short line is it's about being in another person's shoes. It's about understanding the context, the emotions, and the thoughts of other people. The good news is it's a topic that is highly interesting to people. It's beginning to peak up. So even in businesses, we're now starting to talk about putting in empathy, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But one thing empathy is not, is it's not about being nice. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, give away the farm. It's also not about being sorry for somebody else or actually giving something or doing something for something else. It's strictly the idea of understanding what the other person is feeling or thinking. What is empathy? Well, it's listening actively. And that's one of the biggest problems we have today. We don't even have the time to listen and really observe what's going on in the nonverbal communications, in the eyes. It's about being present, and that's probably the most important thing, is about when you get disconnected from these devices, you actually return to how you're breathing, feeling yourself, being compassionate for yourself. And then once you can do that, then you can actually be much more empathic and present with the others. The good news about being empathic is that it actually is brilliant for a thing called conversation. If you really want to have a conversation, that's 2 people talking, empathy is a key factor. It's also a precondition for being ethical. So if ethics is important to you, then you need to make sure you're upping your game as a team with regard to your empathy. Mark by a friend of mine who wrote in Psychology Today, said, empathy toward others is a precondition to an ethical life. And I think in this world, with all the things that we can do, where laws haven't been written, ethics and empathy, therefore, are really important issues. And the good news is it's going to make you money. There's been a survey that was done, and they identified empathic companies, and they gave them an index. And the ones that were the top 10 outperformed the bottom 10 by 2 times in terms of value creation. 87% of CEOs see a direct link between workplace empathy and business performance, productivity, employee retention, and general business health. So if that's not enough, if there's not a reason in there for you to start becoming more empathic, I don't know what else needs to happen to encourage you to up your empathy game. The thing about empathy, though, is it's not something you can teach. You need to create an environment where it is explored and allowed. And there are many different techniques you can do. I don't want to go into all of them, but that's something you ought to start reading about and understanding how to improve empathy. You may be empathic, but the challenge then becomes your non-empathic boss or a non-empathic colleague, how to bring them in, model the behavior. All right, ESP, this is S. What does S stand for? I don't have an extra pillow to give to you, but I gather you travel with a pillow, Laura. Yeah, well, some people could have misinterpreted this. Yes, but it is actually about sleep. It's a remarkable thing, this thing about sleep. And when I was at university, I decided that you need to study the things you don't know. And one of the things I studied, was women's studies. And the other thing was sleep. It's actually a topic you should and could study at university. And I certainly believe it should be inscribed in what we do in business today. How many of you guys feel somewhat sleep deprived? Right? Yes. This is not something that's uncommon in Britain. 80% of British people suffering from lack of sleep. 30% of UK adults are suffering from insomnia that Laura was talking about. That's a lot of people suffering. This is a big deal. How much sleep do you think you need? Do you have a strong, strict idea of this? 8 hours? 7 hours? All right, well, the reality is it actually depends. First of all, our cycle moves. We change as we get older. You know, the younger needs 10, 12, and then as you get older, you can deal with less. But it depends on what you need to do for that day. I believe that the way to describe this is I need as much sleep as I can to do the activities I need to do the following day. So I need more sleep if I'm going to be driving a long drive. I need less sleep if I'm going to do something that's very active. You need to feel comfortable throughout the day. To talk about the productivity possibility with sleep, if we actually tackle this, well, I don't have numbers to show how good it is if you sleep, but I do have numbers to show how bad it is if you don't sleep. These are the productivity losses that we've had both in the United States and in Britain. $411 billion because of lack of sleep in the United States, 43 billion pounds estimated for next year because of a lack of sleep. So if you look at the 5 million companies in France, in the UK, and we make a little division, you can see how much productivity gain you might be able to gain in your company. There are a lot of things you need to look at to sleep better. There's a lot of information out there, so my encouragement is to go out there, find the right tools, the best pillow for you, a good mattress. If you're living with someone else, you need to do that together. Or I should say sleeping with somebody else, to be more exact. There are also habits, and it's amazing, this idea of putting the phone beside you or not, and what you do before. Do you do sports right before to cool down? My son used to take a bath before, and I said, well, actually, baths wake you up. You need to know this. There are things you think might be good for your way to sleep, but are not. Talk about napping. I'm getting a lot of people yawn. Good. Maybe you're feeling your presence. Yawn away. Should we nap? Should we nap at work? It's a big question. Certainly, Google and many other companies provide these little nap pods. But the studies show that napping is absolutely brilliant. So we shouldn't be scared to talk about it at work. It helps in your cognitive thinking. It's very beneficial for your heart. And all of these have studies that prove that better sleep is better for you. It's better for your longevity as well. So my encouragement is to go out and learn more about sleep. When I started studying sleep at university at Yale, it was a very nascent topic. It's now become a more practiced and professional topic. There are some books that I recommend, and I'd like to point out The Joy of Work by Bruce Daisley, who spoke here last year, who also talks about sleep. Arianna Huffington, and the amazing book by Dr. Walker on why we sleep. On the right, podcasts to help you sleep better. Sleep with me. It's a great title. All right, the third, ESP. What does the P stand for? Any guesses? Perception. Yeah, good. I like it. Sorry, performance. Yeah, well, hopefully that's what we're going to get to. Precision. Why not? I like it. Well, it stands for purpose. And these are the three injunctions here. The first is you need to get to know yourself better, to understand your own purpose and what you stand for. And then you need to know where's your north. Where's your north? What's your north setting? It's a moral, it's an ethical setting. It's also to understand what you're going to leave behind in this earth. What is your legacy? There's a little video I want to show you about a certain red fox. Very cute and adorable. In London, we have many of them, I think. Anyway, we certainly have foxes. But this is a red fox, and he's on a little journey. How many of you would be successful at doing that? That's his target. He knows what he has an end in mind, to refer to Felix's point in the beginning. So this is he's only successful, he or she, I don't know, is only successful when the fox is facing north. 75% success rate, getting his beast, the little vermin or whatever, when he's facing his north. And I think this is a metaphor for our lives. If we know what our north is, where we're setting, what is our navigational direction, then we're much better off in doing everything we have, and our energies will be successful. In my book, Future Proof, I talk about these three mindsets: meaningfulness, responsibility, and collaboration. I'm going to focus on meaningfulness for my last point. Meaningfulness is really my way of explaining purpose, because purpose is a big idea. It's the big idea. But the ways towards purpose can also just include increasing your meaningfulness, making more of your day meaningful to you. And that just brings back energy. I talk a lot about bringing back energy to you, because you have to do a lot of stuff and there's a lot of shit that happens, that's for sure. But if you can insert more meaningful activity in your day, and I'm going to show you how, then it'll bring back energy to you, because you have a bank of energy and you need to make sure you're aware of how you re-energize yourself. So insert meaningfulness. And the good news is it's good for business. A study that was done, it was published in 2012, it showed that for 18 companies that were deemed firms of endearment, that had purpose and meaningfulness injected in their DNA, they had a 10.5 times return on the stock market. I didn't say 10.5% more. I said 10.5 times shareholder return. Is that something that would be appealing to you? Right? So injecting more meaningfulness and purpose in your business is what is going to help you also perform better. There are some wonderfully meaningful brands. I had the privilege of running one of them called Redken for 4 years. Our purpose? Earn a better living, sure, make more money, but live a better life. We were selling shampoos, and we wanted to make our purpose live a better life, not just for our customers, but for our employees. It starts with the employees. Here's the bad news. If you don't, people would not care if 74% of today's brands disappeared. Do you think that's the case for you? How would the world be worse off if your brand did not exist? Answer that question and you will find a purpose. How would the world be worse off if you and your brand did not exist? If it didn't exist, would it just be eaten up by another competitor who would just take over? So what provides meaningfulness in a company? These are the steps towards purpose. There are 5 different levers that I look at. There can be prize, reward people. Take the time to acknowledge them, recognition. I have a CEO that invites anybody who's done something wonderful to have lunch with him from anywhere in the company. That's a wonderful way of recognizing people, and it makes it feel meaningful. Work with people on a rugby team with 14 others who are passionate, committed to the same destination of winning together. Winning is actually something that's meaningful for people. Hey, listen, I did this! Being profitable, we shouldn't be ashamed of. being on a winning team, because it's pretty shit to work for a company that's out of business, right? Do stuff for the planet. Yeah, sure, that's a good one. But don't do it in greenwashing kind of fashion. And the last one is purpose. This is when you're doing things that are beyond you and your immediate existence. It's something where you're doing something for others, like people on your streets, like your community, like your city, like your country, like the earth. That is what purpose is all about. So I'm going to give you a final breakdown. This is for you, Evan. This is, I followed a rock and roll band for 10 years of my life. I saw them a couple of hundred times. I'm a fan. But the thing is this, there were 7 initial players, or 6 more long-term, but 7 players in the band. And they all came from different musical backgrounds. And I think that is the glory of diversity, is when you can, you know you have a value, but you recognize the value of others. And this is the bass player. He came from a classical background. He's a classical violinist before he joined this band called the Grateful Dead. And this is what he said.
That's how the Grateful Dead evolved, as they did, was because everybody listened really hard to each other. That's the only way it can happen. You have to listen. You have to listen.
What you don't hear is that sort of really fun little, sort of snarky little smile at the end. You have to listen, because these concerts were like 5 hours long, and you really listened a lot. Because when you're taking substances that help you focus, it also helps. All right, last slides. When you get confused, listen to the music play. Every day I make sure I play guitar for 30 minutes and sing. I walk for an hour and a half, and about at least half of that time I spend listening to music, because it gives back energy. I need to find things that are appropriate for me. How do you do it in your day to give back to you, to make sure you have that energy? Sleep. Study sleep. Study your own habits, because what's good for me is not good for you. We all have different things, and different pillows and different mattresses that we like. And there are amazing amount of information and academic research on how to sleep better. So I really encourage you to pick up some books or read about it, because I have a Flipboard, by the way, board on sleep. And it's amazing the kinds of things I'm still learning today. And nothing's perfect, especially since I got the jet lag from Beijing yesterday. And the third one, also to Laura's point, is meditate. I picked up meditation. I had a roommate when I was at South by, a friend I'd been friends with since kids. Actually, we took a bath together, and my wife wasn't exactly thrilled with the idea of Sophie and me rooming together for 5 days in South by Southwest. But, the great thing is she taught me how to meditate. And so I use a guided meditation called 10-Minute Mind by Monique Rhodes. She's a New Zealander platinum-selling musician who also taught a guy called the Dalai Lama music. And through her, I feel like I'm in touch with the Dalai Lama. That's how I do it, and that's what's bringing me back. So every morning I meditate, and it brings a lot of peace to me. So this is it. Thank you very much for your time. I have a few books. This is what I'd like to leave you with. Join me, follow me, and anyway, if you have your questions, thanks for your time. Bye.